Welcome to the channel. My name is Keith, and in part 2 of this episode on Romans 12 verses 1 through 2, Pastor Ed Carifio is going to answer the question, how do we present our bodies as a living sacrifice? Here's Pastor Ed.
Yes, welcome to the second video in this series on the transformed life. And yes, Keith, that is a good question. How do we present our bodies as a living sacrifice? So let me refresh us here by rereading Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove which is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. In the previous video, we saw a brief background to our text and some of the questions that we need to ponder as we go through this, and hopefully we will answer. Now, we saw that as Christians, we are the recipients of God's incredible mercies. And as a result, Paul calls us to be different, to live to a higher standard than the world's expectations. Paul literally pleads with us in these two verses to do something unique, to live a godly life. And he begins the exhortation by using the word present. Now, in the Old Testament, that word was a word that described the act of a priest placing a sacrificial offering on the altar. The word can also give the idea of surrendering or yielding, and what it is that we surrender and present to God. Paul says it's our bodies. In the Old Testament, the priests presented sacrifices and offerings that were already slain. Here, we as believers are urged to present our bodies as a living, ongoing sacrifice daily. Our souls have already been consecrated unto the Lord as a result of our salvation through the Lord Jesus Christ. However, our bodies are where the unredeemed flesh as human, our unredeemed humanness still resides. And it is that beachhead of sin that we wrestle with and fight with each and every day. And it still resides within us. And because these bodies we dwell in remain unredeemed, it is they which we must present to the Lord as a living daily sacrifice. By the way, this is a voluntary act, folks. We cannot be forced to do this. This comes from within us. And it's an offering we make, and we must make it every day. Listen to what Jesus said in Luke chapter 9, verse 23. If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Wow, isn't that something? In other words, we as Christians must each and every day deny ourselves, deny what we would like to do, deny what would make us happy. We are to take up our cross, which means to literally die to yourself every day and be a living sacrifice. It means putting all of our personal ambitions aside and live a devoted life to God. And I admit, and you probably already know this, this is no Sunday picnic. This is no walk in the park. This is the battlefield in the life of every Christian. And Paul is pleading with us to shun the world's philosophies and instead lead a holy life to the glory of the God we serve. He ends with verse 1 with, this is our reasonable service. Now that's from the New King James. Some translations have your spiritual worship, your true worship, and it means we present to God all that we have and all that we are as a daily sacrifice to God. In the next video, we will develop this even further and begin by looking at verse 2, which is the source of doing what we just saw.